Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. We got another of our interviews with management of junior mining companies. In this case, Goliath is one of the sponsors of my reports. I'm very glad to have them. The things that impress me the most about the company is that they have a series of zones that are stacked up. The biggest one is their Sherbet zone. And going through that Sherbet zone are some key structures. They put together a fantastic team that has had a tremendous success in the percentages of hitting on the drilling. And what that tells me is they've got good understanding of the geology and the mineralizing system. And I think they're onto something very impressive in the Golden Triangle of British Columbia, in a very good area for access. Thank you very much for joining us today, Layla, Roger, and Russell.
Thanks, Allan. Thanks for having us. Good to see you again.
So why don't we start out, Roger, with just give us an update on sort of where things stand right now.
Well, sure. Well, we were successfully closing the upsized financing for just under $10 million, which in this particular market, I think is a testament to the, I guess, how solid our project is, our new discovery at Gold Digger project, as well, that we have mobilized. We're essentially, looking to drill about 20,000 meters this year in total, about 18,000 meters at the Gold Digger property, and 2,000 meters at our Lucky Strike property, which is about 100 kilometers to the south, just north of Terrace, BC. And part of that drilling program, obviously we're going to be looking to, hone in on the higher grade zones of the Sherbet zone itself, the main horizon, as well as the Bonanza Shear that we essentially have modeled out now for the 2023 drill program. And then what's kind of fun and exciting too is the fact that we're going to be drilling a new outcrop that's 4 kilometers to the north of the Sherbet discovery. Our gold swarm essentially has the same characteristics as the Sherbet zone as far as textures, the grades, the shear zone exposed at surface. We don't have the 2.1 kilometers of exposed mineralization surface there, but certainly looks like this could be pretty substantial, because we do see alteration for about 1 kilometer there. And so we'll be drilling that this year. And then as far as new targets at Lucky Strike, we've got a high-grade gold breccia that's, again, pretty large, high-grade system where, we're getting grabs that are over 3-ounce material. I think there's a 2-meter chip that ran, sort of 20 some odd grams gold and 80 some odd grams silver. And then the second target there at Lucky Strike is this bullseye porphyry copper gold target, which we believe could be the high grade porphyry center of the system that we missed back in 2019 when we drilled that. Essentially, we saw lots of sulfides in the core, but the grades at that time weren't economical. So we're poised for a really exciting season. Lots of news flow, lots of catalysts that I think should, or we hope will, propel the stock higher. Considering we're trading right now near a 52-week low, and we've got a long way to go to get back to where we were last year, and then obviously we're looking to surpass last year's high as well.
So since we last talked, I don't know if people really understand how impressive what you guys have found is, because it's a brand new discovery. It's not rehashing old work. It was probably not found, or most definitely not found, because it was covered by a glacier. And now it's exposed, and you guys have got in there with done great work to identify the known zones. But you also did a important study well, two actually. One was a scientific study of the potential plumbing system for the region or for that area. And you also did some metallurgical work with excellent recoveries. These are maybe not market moving things, but definitely exciting things for the potential of the area or in the key zones.
Yeah, definitely. And I can let Russ or Leila, you can take that one. How's that?
Yeah, well, I mean, like the first study that you're talking about is actually still ongoing. It's together with the Colorado School of Mines. So they're doing a really good job at kind of looking at the geochemistry, looking at the fluids, looking at the composition of the veins, looking at how the mineralization and the metals change along the shear zone, and trying to figure out which side is up and what is down, like where are the fluids coming from, where they're going. And I was just kind of the preliminary results that we released to the public not too long ago. It shows that it's definitely a magmatic system or tied to some type of magmatic system. We see that in the mineralogy, in the fluid inclusions that we that are present all over the mineralized zone, basically. And I mean, you can also see from like alteration that we see and kind of the pressure and temperatures that we are looking at for these fluid inclusion and things like that, that this stuff is relatively deep seated. So whether we said 5 to 7 kilometers below the paleo surface, which it's kind of hard to say what depth that corresponds to now with erosion and everything. It's probably, I don't know, say 700, 1,000, 1,500 meters or so. And so it's definitely material that we can reach with kind of normal drilling from where we are, and also thanks to the topography. I mean, we can step down in the valleys and drill from there, and then you gain more depth if you want. And we know from the area in general there are porphyry deposits. One was producing moly deposit just about 20-25 kilometers to the south in Kitsault. There is some other porphyry stocks around there, and with what we see in drill core plus the fluid inclusion, so there's a high chance that what we're actually looking at is some kind of porphyry mineralized intrusions that delivers the fluids that then get concentrated or funneled up into this shear zone that we see at Sherbet. So like, that's definitely exciting, and it's to go back to the Colorado School of Mining. A lot of the work that they are doing is something that we can't really do because we don't have the equipment, we don't have necessarily the time to focus on that stuff. So having a student who's doing his master's thesis up there is definitely a good advantage. And yeah, it's been good so far. So we'll see what else they come up with. They're coming out again this summer, collect more samples and keep the work going. So that's definitely good.
What popped out to me from that study was also that to get that much that kind of a plumbing system, it must be very powerful, because it could also explain the other targets that you have. So if that's one big system that's pumping all the fluids into the sheets that you have and the potential for others around it, speaks to the power of the mineralizing system.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you think, that's exactly what you said. So we have the main Sherbet zone is kind of our focus. But as Roger was saying, a few kilometers to the north, we have the Gold Swarm area where we will be drilling as well. And that's pretty much a carbon copy of what we see at Sherbet. It's a bit smaller scale, but we have the same texture, same alteration, same mineralization. These sulfides, like semi-massive to massive sulfides, brecciated and so on. And we do see the similar textures and mineralization and alteration in other outcrops that we know exist already on the property. We will be following up on them. We haven't had time so far to do that, but it's on the plan for this year. And if those hold up, I mean, that's like, I don't see why that wouldn't be all part of the same system. And I mean, it's nothing special geologically. Like, these big systems exist and they are more common than you think. Now the problem is what is economic and what is not, and what is accessible and what is not, and how can you find them? So I think we are in a pretty good position where we have several of these, as Quinton calls them, piano keys in the same, in a relatively close area, and like we can actually follow up on those, and like you can make geologic sense of them. You can link them with one another, and like there is a good chance that we can show that they're all part of the same system. And yeah, so having like a big intrusive body sitting underneath, potentially a porphyry that delivers all these fluids in these various shear zones, and like it's pretty exciting and definitely possible. And I mean, maybe one day we'll be looking at that porphyry, and these shoots that we're looking at now are just become kind of like a side part of the whole project. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, it's, you know, you talked about time, and in the time that you guys have actually had to get on the ground, do the sampling, and get drilling done, you really haven't spent a lot. You've had a couple seasons, but not a lot of time in those seasons.
Yes, I mean, just over 6 months in total. This has all been accomplished, right? Versus, you know, you look at some of these guys that can drill year round. Have to drill, you know, 200,000-300,000 meters to get to where we are today. Certainly defining this model that we've been able to, Mother Nature has provided with us, certainly what we're seeing at surface, and then obviously the results from the drilling. Yeah, no, it's pretty incredible actually. And one thing I like to add here is, I don't know if most people know, but the majority of the bigger deposits, discoveries in the triangle actually in the volcanics. So we've got, you know, we got a long ways to go. We think the Sherbet zone in the Hazelton sedimentary is just the tip of the iceberg here. You know, as Lele said, you know, we do believe that all of these showings that we're seeing all over the property, they're all somehow connected, even like Homestake Ridge, you know, just up to the north, right? With, I think they've got about 1.2, 1.4 million ounces, kind of, you know, similar grades. Yeah, anyways, the theory is it's all connected somehow, and there's a, you know, a big intrusive system that certainly Colorado School of Mines is helping with. And we've had quite a few other third-party contractors coming in and helping, looking at the data, not giving them any direction whatsoever, and then them coming back with their ideas, structural geologists, so on and so forth. You know, get that northeast trending fault. We've got the Cloud 9 real deal fault all kind of converging in at that one spot where we're getting all that visible gold in a number of holes, and the higher grade intercepts. You know, the ones, you know, up to, you know, 240 gram meter gold equivalent intercept.
Well, you know, I spent a lot of my career in the diamond exploration business, and in Canada, we were sort of learning on the fly, and had to depend on a lot of these kind of studies. So I don't see enough of this in the business, and I really commend you guys for really throwing the science at what you found.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's one thing finding it. The other question is, can you actually extract the gold from the host rock? And clearly we've shown that with a, you know, almost a 93% recovery at a, you know, 327 micron crush with almost 50% from gravity alone, free gold. I mean, that's the cheapest form of pouring doré bars is the free gold. So, you know, obviously with the help of all these very smart people around us, helping us, guiding us, certainly Quinton with his Rolodex, pointing us in the right direction, you know, it's been extremely helpful because, again, you know, coming up this value curve so quickly, it's sort of unheard of. And I guess we've been very, very fortunate that Mother Nature basically gave us that 2.1 kilometer strike at surface with that 700 meters of vertical relief, which you just don't see. Like,
so I want to dig a little deeper into the Sherbet area, and some things that really stand out to me are, you mentioned the structural story. You've got a couple coming right from one side of the mountain to the other like this, and then another one coming in here. And where they all meet, you're also seeing the sheets coming in that direction as well. So it looks like you've got a focal point there that really stands out to me as, you might just be looking at the extension so far and can keep expanding towards the source.
Sure. No, I mean, it does remain open. I don't know if people realize it. It remains open, and we don't know how big this system actually is. Certainly with that bonanza shear, that horizontal system, or that we've modeled from these consultants that again went through all of our data, looked at all the pictures, and this thing is massive. Lots. There's much more to be found here. And I don't know, maybe Russ, do you want to throw up the model just to kind of show?
Yeah, for sure.
The faults there, and
yeah, because it really tells the story, and it's not too, even I can figure it out.
You guys able to see this now?
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we just have the this yellow polyline just outline the outcropping we have for the main sherbet shear zone.
Going from one side of the mountain to the top and then back down the other side.
Exactly. And then now you can see the impressions of the the northeast fault, which I'm tracking my mouse over. And then we have Real Deal and the Cloud 9. And so there's a big convergence that's happening between all these structures where I'm circling. And that's also where a lot of the high grade intercepts are also leading us towards as well.
And on the other side of the mountain, you can also see those faults. We're looking at the one side, but yeah, look at that. Goes all the way around and all the way to the other side of the mountain.
Yeah. So
those are some big cracks that the fluids can make their way up. There you go.
Yeah, and then if I take topography down, again, you can see just in the darker gray, a number of these structures are leading together, as well as with the yellow volume here. So this is the sherbet shear zone, and the bottom purple, that's the bonanza shear. So this is more of a contact shear between the volcanics below and the sediments above. And then we have these larger kind of like listric faults running through the region. And this shear zone seems to be part of those larger shear, those larger fault systems. And this one's cutting across a lot of the folded sediments that are on top.
So did I hear you right? You're getting the best grades close to those faults and where they converge.
Exactly. So on the left and right side of the northeast fault, we had visible gold from our pad A, as well as our our south cliff step out pads. So visible gold in there and higher numbers as we approach kind of this convergence. So this year with the 2023 drilling, we have a number of holes that will be tackling this area.
Show the stacked zones?
Yes, I'll bring those up. I don't have them on right now because some of those ones are not as well defined as the first two that I had on, but they are visible within drill core. We do have intercepts that run through them. There's just not as many intercepts to define them as well as we have defined the bonanza zone again, which is the purple.
But that doesn't mean they're not there because you guys just haven't drilled as much there.
Yeah, exactly. We've been focusing a lot on what we know and going up from there. This year we have a number of holes up on the west side that should help us define that a lot better, as well as the structural mapping that will happen this year. We have some very detailed mapping that's happening up there that will also help define those better. and then again, focusing down near the high grade area. So understanding exactly what these larger scale faults are bringing to the system. And then
Is that one, you're getting it on both sides of the fault?
yes.
And I guess you're getting the same thing on the other faults as well, but you got some really nice kicks on the, I don't know which direction I'm looking at here, but on the,
You're looking about north right now.
yeah, so the south side of that big fault, you got some really nice kicks there as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, from pad A area. So that's kind of where a lot of these drill holes right now that are planned are clustered around. So we're going to delineate out from those and step out to into the open mineralization that we have. This part of the volume, the purple volume, is a little extended. So we still have more drilling to happen. But so it's still open in this to the east, as well as for most of it's all open to the east there.
So I see that it looks like you're going to get better definition on the known zones, get better definition on the zone to the south of that big fault, and then start following those zones down where all the faults converge.
Exactly. And extend out to the northeast as well. So we have this big open area here, which if I just turn topography back on, we know the contact between the sediments and the volcanics is sitting right down here. So this is right just south of the new gold area we drilled, which we drilled in the volcanics. So we know that contact is sitting right around here and then getting covered by the glacier. So if we just keep that in mind, and then we just turn this off, there's a large part of this volume which has not been tested at all.
Wow.
And so we have a couple drill holes that we'll start out with near the top of the mountain, which will try to pierce into that. And if that continues, we will move plans forward to try to get more to the east as the season goes on.
You know, as I'm looking at these faults and keeping in mind that model that or the paper talked about, what's the relationship with those faults and the potential source or heat engine?
Well, in terms of what event came first, some of these seem like they could be sin mineralization, so it could be happening during the same time frame. There is some relationships that need to be nailed down with that. There's a good chance that some of these were reactivated during mineralization. So part of the study that we were talking about the fluid inclusions and figuring out the exact source and event of the fluid that came in that mineralized this. Some of those still need to be 100% confirmed through those studies. But structurally, looking at this thing and looking at where mineralization is sitting, we have mineralization within these faults. And so at this point, it's looking like, you know, that the mineralization fluid has taken advantage of these faults, as well as the other main structures, like the shear zone and the bonanza shear. So yeah, it looks like there's just more pathways for mineralization to go through. Drilling into them and nailing down exactly what's going on. We haven't done that much drilling. We have a couple pierce points through those. Surface mapping and sample collecting has shown, you know, what drilling showing that there's mineralization. So it's just, we need to poke some more holes into this. And that's a lot of what we're focusing on in this 2023 drill season.
Well, the other impression that I get from the success that you guys have had with the drilling itself, you guys really have an excellent handle on the geology, the mineralization, the faults, the structural story. You know, I don't think it's an accident that you've hit over 90% success rate with your drilling.
Yeah, especially with the 2021 drilling when we started out just using the main shear zone here. I'll just pull these off. Let me just clear this up a little bit. So using the outline that we have.
Following the outcrop, right?
Yeah, exactly. So following that 2.1 kilometer outcropping and drilling into that, especially after we had channel cut the year prior to that, we had a really good sense of the continuity of this shear zone, and just drilling into it just increased our confidence with the predictability of it all. And again, as Roger said before in this story, it gave us that confidence to do the big step out to the real deal pad, which we drilled down, and that set the stage for the 2022. And it gave us a lot of confidence of what we currently knew, the information that we gathered from that 2021 season. So that 2022 was just, in my mind, just as, actually, if not more successful than that 2021 season for how much more we've expanded this. And so we're kind of riding on that for this 2023 season. The teams that we have has been, everyone we're working with, especially on the geo team, has been here from the beginning. So from my point of view, it's we have the expertise to continue forward and keep bringing in more success, but also finding more of this.
Well, you touched on a couple things that are really important there for investors is continuity of the mineralization and predictability. That gives you some indications about what potentially could happen. And I think it's beyond potential with this new drilling that you're doing and the added studies you've done and the great geoscience you're throwing at it.
Mm-hmm. And as Lele's mentioned, we could be just on the tip of the iceberg here for what is down below with those fluid inclusion studies and the work that we're having done through the Colorado School of Mines. We could be just seeing the tip of this. There could be, that monster driver below if this is falling kind of like from a porphyry system source. There could be a lot more. It's true that when you look at the mineralization and the mineralization outcropping, as well as deposits in the area, most of them are in the volcanics, as Roger's mentioned. And so we'll see. I mean,
my gosh, the tip of the iceberg looks pretty damn good to me.
I think so, yeah.
Lele mentioned something that I think might have been lost on when the paper was published or talked about, is that they were talking about a source that potentially could be 5,000 meters below surface, but there's been a lot of erosion and the dog's getting into the show as well, Lele. But that erosion and so you're not looking at something that could be 5,000 meters, looking at something much closer to surface being the source of all this.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm just saying that, like, I don't really know, but if you look at the erosion rates that have been active in that area between glaciation and just the weather in the last 20,000 years, that's what you're looking at, and also looking at the depth of other porphyry stocks that are known in the area. You are looking at anywhere from surface to about 1,000, 1,500 meters down. So it's not that we are expecting to drill 5,000 meters down. If we were, we would probably give up at this point because.
But I think that may be what people thought when they saw that number.
Yeah. Well, that's why we usually when we talk about this, we try to emphasize the paleo surface, which is not the same as the today's or the
surface,
present day surface. So I get it. It's like if you're not a geologist or not too involved in these things, it could come across as a thing. But yeah, no, like we're definitely looking at something that is within reach of today's mining techniques, of today's exploration techniques. And I mean, we already know of some areas that where we in drill hole we saw the porphyritic and perfect the potassic alteration that we have kind of getting close to some of the intrusion on the western side. Now the intrusion itself that is exposed at surface doesn't have any mineralization, but some of the areas we see in drill core have the right textures and some of the minerals that we are expecting from a porphyry system. So I know my gut feeling is that we're getting pretty close here, and maybe this is the year, and or hopefully this is the year, and we can come back with a couple good samples from some type of porphyry intrusion or something, and yeah, but no matter what we do, like I think we'll come out of this season with definitely more clarity on what the system looks like, what the geometry of these various shear zones are, a better idea of where these fluids are coming from, and how extensive this whole system actually is. And in the process, we'll probably add some ounces to this entire thing, and then yeah, we just go from there. And I mean, every season you collect a lot of data, and you kind of have to do something with that data. That's why we get help from people outside. So
including some nice sulfide float that Roger showed me on last interview. I kind of paid attention to that. Looked pretty exciting.
Yeah. I mean, there is like some of the massive sulfide that you see in here. It's pretty impressive. Like, it's always exciting when as a geologist you're there and you pull out some core, and it's just nice and sparkly and shiny. And if there is some visible gold in there, it's even better. But even just the metal and like as Ras was saying, and I guess Roger, and you know it, most people know it by now. It's like it's a fairly easy system to kind of understand when you are in mineralizations and when you're not. Like you drill through these sediments, and then spam, you get into the quartz veining, and then you get this semi-massive to massive sulfide, and you know that stuff is going to run. Now, whether it runs 10 grams per ton or 900 grams per ton, that's up to the lab, I guess. But for sure, you know, it's like, okay, well, we are in the right material. So even for us, as Ras was mentioning before, kind of changing the plan on the fly as you're drilling. Like obviously we have this model, it has held up so far, but there's always some tweaking that you do. So you drill something, you see, okay, well, now the mineralized zone is here. You know that right away, and then you can redirect the next hole to adapt to the new
so you're not waiting
that you just found, right?
You're not waiting for assay results back to redirect drilling if you need to be.
Exactly.
You lost stuff on the fly there in terms of as the data comes up. It's the only way you can make sure you can hit everything. Like our drill plan program is built with plan A, B, C, and D already in there. So if this happens, we go forward with that. If this happens, we go forward with that. And that way it's just, you can make those quick minute decisions. And so far it's worked out to our favor.
Before we close, I'd like to talk about some of your regional targets that you might get to this year.
Yeah, so we have an entire series of targets. Where to start? So I would say we have about 10, 12 that are kind of on the grounds of the original property, the property that Goliath had until last year. Well, we still have it, but we extended the property over the last year. So the original claims, there were like showings that were discovered between 2018 and 2023. And obviously with Surebet becoming the main focus, these other showings were kind of left on the back burner a bit. So there is like some showing have like 115 grams per ton gold sample in some material that looks pretty much the same as the semi-massive to massive brecciated sulfides that you see at Surebet. Again, you get like galena, sphalerite in there, and just huge kicks of gold and silver. There is like 5 or 6 of these showings. Plus, there are some other anomalies, whether they are geochemical anomalies or like stream sediments or things like that we've never really followed up on. mostly because some of these most of these targets are kind of down in the valleys where the area is more vegetated, and just it wasn't a priority for us until now to go down there and spend a lot of time to maybe not gain much information. So we will be following up on those as well. I'm talking like places where you get like 500 plus ppb stream sediment samples, which is a pretty big stream sediment, especially for the area where most stream sediments are like, if they are like around 50 grams per ton, 50 ppbs, that's pretty high. So like you're looking at 10 times the numbers.
And
so
going back to that scientific study, it's giving you a better understanding of everything on the Gold Digger project, right?
no, exactly. Yeah, and that's part of the plan as well. And that's why like these are just the ones that we selected to follow up on this year, and they are all in one way or another linked to what we know of the geometry of Sherbet. So that's why we will be following up on those things. I mean the property is pretty big now. It is the main property. Then we have the whole part to the north on the ice fields and kind of like the tip that comes down south towards Ali's Arm. And there's a lot of ground that hasn't been touched yet. And we did generate a series of targets. It's like over 40 targets on the entire property, like the new property. And so we'll be following up on those. And those are, yeah, we kind of looked at regional data. We looked at historic data that was flown in the area and stuff, like mag, aster data, spectral imaging, and things like that, orthophotos. So we have the targets now. Obviously, I can't promise you anything, but for sure they're looking good. And if we get there and there is something, then then we'll have more stuff to work on in the future.
Well,
and,
it's pretty interesting how that scientific paper is playing into your model and your regional or near their exploration.
Yeah, it's I mean, in the end, it's like, sure, there is like the marketing part, and you have to convince people that there is value in what we do, and there is value right away in some cases. But it's also at some point, like as I was saying, we are collecting all this data, and like to better understand or to understand and like kind of move this project forward, at some point you do have to do something with that data. You can't just say, okay, well, we have a drill hole here, let's drill here now. Like you look at it and you find out first of all like geometry and sizes of the deposits, but then also kind of like what the Colorado School of Mine is doing, like where is it coming from, what are the implications for the entire region potentially. And so yeah, it's just, I don't know, that there is a lot that goes into it. And I think now with the way the project is going, with the resources that we have, with the people that we have, we are in a position where we can actually work on these things. Obviously, as a junior miner like Goliath in 2017, you have your projects, you go for the shiny rocks and you try to convince somebody that they should give you more money to keep going. And we made it this far, and now is the time where science can come in and we can do more work, and obviously still kind of like work that is useful to the end goal of making this a mineable deposit.
Well, Roger, as I've learned more about this project and saw the news that you guys have put out and the way you're tackling it, with the met work and the paper, and you guys, you have a hell of a team you put together there, Roger.
Yeah, no, these guys are top notch. They're like a rare diamond that you don't, takes a long time to find and cultivate, and we have the benefit of the same team, essentially going back to this same ground, so it's not having to new folks coming and trying to understand what's going on. It's been very consistent. So clearly the guys are super talented, and yet have the added benefit of the same team going back year after year. So that certainly helps things when you've got a very short season. You don't want to be spending 2-3 weeks to kind of get up to speed as to what's going on. as soon as the guys get there, they know exactly what needs to be done and so on. And, there's a lot of planning in the off season, detailed, as Russ was saying, there's a plan A, B, C, D, and E kind of thing that we can sort of bob and weave throughout the season to, again, maximize every dollar that goes into the ground this year and every year.
That team thing doesn't fall on deaf ears with me, because I've been in the business for 30 years and I'm 58 now. And when I came into the business in my late 20s, I came into it after the 1980s, and there was a lost generation, 10 years or 5 years younger than me and 10 or 15 years older than me. There really wasn't a lot of people. And I think that that's an industry-wide issue. So having the team you put together is very important to me. And I commend you on putting them together and keeping them together, Roger.
Oh yeah, well, and there's many layers of the team, so it's just not me as well. So there's other very important people that were the catalysts way before me, and I wouldn't be here without them. So.
Well, that team stuff's really important to me. Do you guys all have a closing comment, Russell, Lele, and Roger?
Basically just looking forward to the season starting. We put a lot of effort into pre-plan the season before even the 2022 season was over. We were planning for 2023 for its success, and it's been a winter getting everything together. And basically, we're starting here next week, bring stuff into camp, and helicopters and drills are coming. So for me, it's just the excitement for getting out of the office more and getting to the field and getting the good stuff going.
Lele?
Yeah, I think we've had a good past year here. A lot of has happened. The project has advanced a lot. A lot of new help, I should say, has come in, whether financially, whether technical help, and so. And I think we are in a really good position at this point of the year to have a successful drill season in the next few months here. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and we'll keep everyone updated as we go, and hopefully we'll have some good news or more good news.
Great, Roger.
Throughout the summer.
Yeah, no, just again, it's obviously we've been waiting since last season to get back on the ground here, and it's like waiting for Christmas to come and start opening up those packages.
And you're at Christmas Eve now.
You got her. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to close it off. We can have a little chat at the other end, guys.
All right. Cheers. Thank you.
Good. Perfect.
Yeah,
so, I haven't picked a lot of companies in the Golden Triangle, but I've certainly been following it all my life in the mining business, and actually even before. I remember the SK Creek story emerging when I was in my teens, and it was all over the newspapers and turned into a tremendous mine. I had success in the past with Pretium, picked them very early in their success. And I think in Goliath, we have another very important project in the Golden Triangle. And these guys have done tremendously good work. It can be spoken of in their success rate with the drilling. They're getting over 90% hit rate with the drilling. And that's a testament to the quality of the team that they have. And as Roger mentioned, the valuation is trading at a 52-week low right now, and only at a $45 million valuation. But now is the catalyst-rich part of the year for them. And I think this is a great opportunity for investors that like gold exploration, especially by a good team doing great work and having great success with the Truth Machine in their drilling. So stay tuned, and we'll be doing more of these interviews. Do your homework, speak with your financial advisors, go check out their website, go look at their corporate presentation, and I think you'll understand why I'm so optimistic that they have a special new discovery in the Golden Triangle. And that speaks volumes because it's a pretty prolific area. Maybe they have a future mine on their hands. On that note, have a great day and talk to you soon.